American activists are calling on the president, Mr. Barack Obama, to pardon Edward Snowden, who is still in Russia under temporary asylum. U.S. authorities want him to stand trial for leaking details of the NSA's snooping. Well, the plight of whistleblowers has been documented in a new film called Mediastan. It's shot by a crew of WikiLeaks journalists, and it casts light on their dangerous mission to seek any media outlet that will publish or broadcast their secrets. Lucy Kafanov has details.
It's been described as a WikiLeaks Road Movie, following the journey of a group of WikiLeaks associates across Central Asia, searching for media outlets to help publish secret diplomatic cables.
With making Mediastan, we used something which I would like to call an acid test. And our acid test was the US State Department cables, where you give these cables to certain publications and see how they react to it. Most of the publications had difficulties in responding to and publishing secrets that had to do with the United States, with the empire in our world.
Johannes Wahlstrom helped direct the movie, although a feature film wasn't the original plan.
The initial goal was to actually distribute this material that Bradley Manning allegedly leaked to WikiLeaks. And in that attempt to get the material out to the public and to people, we realized that there were some interesting things happening in the way that media were actually reacting to it.
The team traveled through Central Asian republics, from Kazakhstan to US-occupied Afghanistan, all in an effort to partner with local news outlets to redact and then publish relevant cables.
Вам дается допуск к материалу. Что вы публикуете в вашем издании, это полностью ваше дело. То есть каким образом вы это публикуете ли вы или нет. Но в обмен вы берете на себя ответственность, убираете имена тех людей, которые могут пострадать от публикации этих материалов.
Нам это интересно вообще.
In case after case, editors would initially show interest and then back off.
Проблема намного в том, что мы не можем опубликовать, потому что у нас будут серьезные проблемы в плане.
To me, it was surprising. Not as much based on the idea that these countries are bastions of free press or not, but I was more surprised about the honesty in their limitations. I was surprised that many of the editors and the journalists that we met in the Central Asian republics, they would actually explain that there are certain things we can't publish. In certain cases, we can actually see where fear of having your funds cut down or something else does actually physically influence your ability in reporting on what you know. In this particular test, the material is American. But it's hard to tell to what extent it's a question of fear, particularly from the United States, or if it's a fear from the local regime.
A censorship of sorts that Johannes believes exists within the Western world as well.
The idea that censorship is something that exists in third world countries, so to speak, but not in the enlightened West, that idea, I think, has been very challenged by WikiLeaks. The main point which we're trying to make isn't that there's somebody which is more censored than somebody else. The main point is that there's a certain degree of censorship everywhere.
And what would you say is the biggest obstacle to freedom of speech and freedom of information these days?
The biggest obstacle to freedom of speech is the obstacle which is in our minds. It is the idea that people don't deserve access to knowledge because people cannot deal with it. And that idea, in my opinion, is not just elitistic, it's incredibly insulting.
But in making a film about the boundaries of press freedom, Johannes says he discovered a world that's moving away from old boundaries.
One of the most amazing things which has happened with these releases, and particularly if we speak about the NSA documents, is that the censorship that we had just a few years ago has become irrelevant.